Hello and welcome to RECENTERED, a podcast where we talk about VR, MR, AR, all the Rs. I'm your host this week, Rog, and with me as normal, and with no silly introductions this week, it's Gary. How you been doing, mate?
I'm doing okay. All the Rs, was that like a little play on the word arse? Like all the arses are here to talk about VR now?
Well,
I don't know if it was that or not. But...
Well, it wasn't, but if it's funny, then it was.
But yeah, I'm okay. I just not a lot to say for what I've been up to really the past couple of weeks, but I have been getting back into my Steam Deck a little bit because I've been neglecting it. Not played too much on the Steam Deck, and I thought because I saw Lee mention it on Twitter that Flashback was only 89p, the original Flashback on Steam. So I thought I'm going to pick that up and. Having a great time, love it, because it is the original Flashback, but it's got all the extra little perks built into it as well. So it looks the same, but you've got like a rewind function if you die and all these other little conveniences. But yeah, I've been getting into that and really having a good time with it.
Excellent. It was always one of those classic games back in the day, sort of like not quite sort of sequel-ish, sort of to another world, but not really. It followed on from that, didn't it? In sort of like the rotoscope animation sort of thing. Yeah,
I think a lot of people, at least the people I knew, and in magazines, I think they even refer to it as a sequel. But I think they've officially said it obviously wasn't a sequel to that. But
it wasn't because there was an actual proper sequel. I can't remember if it was Mega Drive or Mega CD, where there is an actual sequel to Another World.
Yes,
what continues on. Yeah. But,
yeah, I saw that in magazines, but I never played that one.
Same here.
But that's a great game anyway. An older game, but I used to play it on my Amiga. Didn't really get much past the first level ever on that. And yet, with this rewind function, I've already got to into the second level. So I'll keep on playing it. I want to finish it for the first time ever.
Oh wow! I think last time I played it all the way through was probably when I sideloaded it onto an emulator on the old PSP. So I played it on mobile, sort of quite a few years ago now.
Yeah, it is a great game. It's honestly, I mean, it really stands up though. I've got to say, even now, it's still just a fantastic game to play, and it's a little bit more slow paced, but it's a bit more methodical, I think, as a game. But yeah, there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, definitely. But also, as always, we're also joined by Lee. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing okay, thanks. Hope you're both doing well too. I've had a bit of a weird one because usually I'm trying not to go off tangent. I have to go in hospital quite a lot. I know I've told you behind the scenes a bit. For regular venisections, I have to have blood taken out because my blood gets too thick and it's a high risk of heart attacks and strokes and stuff like that. And very weirdly, it's gone down the last 2 months. My levels have gone down 3 times in a row, and even they don't know why. So I'm making the most of it. Yeah.
It's getting all your pent-up frustrations out on RECENTERED, I think.
Well, this is it. I think I don't know if it's partly due to the fact that I've calmed down a little bit making videos. I said this to Rog, and he said, "Oh, it's probably the stress of making YouTube videos." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're probably right." So I'm putting it down to that. But yeah, I'm doing good. I've been playing. This Steam sale was on. It was for it was puzzle games, wasn't it? I think originally I sent it to Gary and said, "Oh, you should check this out," because I know he's into his puzzle stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw Fisherman's Tale, and it was on sale at the time for it was like £3.99 or £3.50, and I'd never played it before. The original Fisherman's Tale. I know there's a new one coming out soon, and yeah, I put it on just to see what it was like, and I just played all the way through it. I spent all morning. Well, I say all morning, about 2.5 hours maybe, playing it, and I just thought, yeah, what a genius game that is.
Yeah, it was definitely clever. I always sort of class it as it's classed as a puzzle game, but I always sort of think of it as more of a sort of like a point and click adventure, sort of transplanted into VR, but with some very unique mechanics. But yeah, as you say, the new one is out next week, so we'll be talking about that on the next edition of the podcast. I'm looking forward. We've got a key for it. I've not played it yet. I'm saving it till next week.
I've not tried it yet either. But I was just really impressed with it. If no one's played it, it's got a really clever mechanic of size.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain without giving too much away. But talking about fish and stuff like that, and then I had to make the big fish, and he wanted something else to eat, and I couldn't understand, and I had to grab a small fish and then chuck it in a big, in the other area to make it big, and It's really hard to explain, but yeah, fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Apart from the last bit with the candles, that sucked, but yeah.
I can't even remember that like the individual puzzles that were in it or anything like that, but I remember the general mechanic that was in there. Yeah. And they obviously had this idea, and you just think, when you hear about this idea, you think, will they pull it off? Will it actually work? But they did an absolutely fantastic job in getting that mechanic to feel good all the way through and keep you pretty entertained with it. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, really good. Available on Quest if you've never played it before, or PC. £11 on Quest, £14 on PC. Buying a Space VR. Well worth checking out, especially if you can either pick it up in a sale or maybe in a bundle at this point. But it'll get you ready for the next one, what's due out soon. Now, last time I totally forgot to talk about what I'd been playing with my newfound hosting duties. So I've been through the Burning Shores DLC for Horizon Forbidden West. Really enjoyed that. I love those games, despite the fact I've still not played the VR game. I've still not played Call of the Mountain. I'm gonna have to jump into that. But yeah, Burning Shores looks amazing. The level of detail on the landscape is absolutely incredible, and it was just great to jump back into that story again. Res Infinite, finally got the platinum on that, so that's all done and dusted. And
for now.
For now, yeah. And Jedi Fallen Order as well, because I know Survivor came out last week, and everybody seems to be playing that. But I'd never played the original, so I jumped into Jedi Fallen Order. And it seems pretty decent. The opening 30 minutes on that is a really spectacular set piece.
Yeah, and then it's like a movie, isn't it? It's like you've been in the movie itself. Yeah, it's really clever how to do it.
It looks incredible. It sort of reminded me a little bit of the opening. I don't know if you ever played Enslaved: Odyssey to the West, which was sort of it's based around the old sort of Chinese mythology story. It's what basically sort of similar to what the old Monkey was based on. Remember the old TV series?
Oh yeah.
It's like a reinterpreted version of that, but slightly more sort of sci-fi. And Andy Serkis was involved with it as well, from what I remember. Right. And the opening on that was the first time. It's one of the first times I can remember seeing that really massive, sort of large-scale set piece as an opening introduction to something. There must have been something else before what had done something similar, but it was a standout opening set piece, and it just reminded me of when I was playing Jedi anyway.
I played that in 3D as well. I did a depth 3D video on Fallen Order. Is it Fallen Order, the first one?
Yeah, Fallen Order, yeah.
Yeah, I did a 3D. It actually works quite well. You can watch it in your headset.
Yeah.
So if you've got Quest 2s, people, or another headset, go on YouTube and, check it out. It's in 3D.
It seemed pretty good. I picked it up because it was something like only about £4 or £5 at one point on Steam. So I picked it up then. No, maybe a little bit more, maybe £6, £7, £8, something like that. But I picked it up, and that was a game that I started on my Steam Deck. And for anybody that's got a Steam Deck, it does run really well on that. You do have to. There was a period of time where it didn't work. They sort of sometimes these developers or publishers or whoever will update it to make it not work, and then they'll sort of reinstate it. And I think there was a period of a few weeks where it wouldn't work on the Steam Deck for some reason. Right. But yeah, it runs really well, and it's got that Dark Souls thing, hasn't it? Though it's like the combat and the way you open up shortcuts around these areas. It gets more and more into that sort of Dark Souls kind of thing.
Yeah, and like if you heal at a campfire, all your enemies respawn around you as well. And
that's it.
That's a very similar sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that, but. Because I don't know if I want to deal with all that kind of stuff in a Star Wars game, but I think it went down well generally anyway. Got good reviews.
Yeah. But, okay, other stuff we've been playing, and we've already covered A Fisherman's Tale, so that's that one crossed off the list. I jumped into Fantavision 2020X. This is by Cosmo Machia, and they licensed this off of Sony. The original version, I think, was by Japan Studio. And the original version, again, was on the PlayStation 2. And it was, I think, Sony's very first in-house developed sort of PS2 project back in the day. And really to show off all the particle effects and stuff, what the machine could do. But it got updated when the PS VR2 launched. And it's playable on flat as well. And it's basically a match the colours type of game in that you need to match the same coloured fireworks together. Fireworks get launched from the bottom of the screen, You have to link the same coloured fireworks, or you can use a multicoloured firework to then link and chain together different coloured fireworks, and then you detonate them before they sort of like fizzle out and go off the screen. And that's about it, really. It's a particle effect simulator, and it's a bit of a difficult one to recommend. I've sort of got a soft spot for it because I remember enjoying playing this when the PlayStation 2 first launched. So there's a little bit of nostalgia there for me. But I can't even speak today. Play this PS VR2 edition, and it looks really nice in the headset. Again, the OLEDs. Oh man. The black levels in the headset are really noticeable, with contrasting with all these colourful fireworks going off. It looks really great. It just wouldn't look the same in any other headset, I don't think. But I picked this up finally because it's at the moment it's 50% off, so it's just like £12.50 on the PSN store. And for me, I think it's definitely worth it, but it depends on the sort of game you like. It's a bit of a strange one, and I can't really say anything else about the game other than what I've said. It's match the coloured fireworks and make them explode, and if that appeals to you, give it a look. It is on PC as well, but I don't think it's on sale. It's just the PSVR2 version what's on sale at the moment. But yeah, if you want colourful, bright and colourful fireworks exploding in your OLED headset anyway, maybe worth a look.
Yeah, I never played this back in the day. I don't know anything about it at all, but I know there was a bit of buzz about it when it was announced, and it does look like that same kind of game that will show off the PSVR2 pretty well, I've got to say. Just looking at the screenshots and stuff and the video that I'm playing now, it's that kind of the same thing with Res Infinite and Tetris Effect and all of these other things that seem to fit really well with it.
It definitely shows off the OLED. It's not as visually impressive as something like Res Infinite or maybe even Tetris Effect, because it's really not that much in your face in the way those games are, or especially Res. But yeah, I mean, it's £12.50. It might be worth a gamble if you like. Sort of, I guess it's the firework equivalent of a match 3 game. So, have a look, see what you think.
Yeah.
But the main one probably has been Propagation Paradise Hotel, which we've all played this week. This is basically a survival horror game where you're trapped inside a hotel. And I didn't realise at the time it starts off where the world apparently appears to have already ended, or everybody's turned into zombies, and you're trapped in a hotel and you're trying to find your sister. Now. Well, Gary, I think you've probably been the most impressed of us out of this one, I think, from what we've said to each other so far. So what are your thoughts on this? It came across to me as a bit sort of budget Resident Evil.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with that. I think... I'm sorry, I'm just watching Lee's video as I'm recording this.
If there's anybody that can lip read, then I apologise for the language.
Yeah, I like this. What it is, the reason I was going into this completely blind, really. I didn't know what to expect from this. And I've heard of Propagation and the original game, because I think the original was free, wasn't it? Just Propagation VR. Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say that there is something there on Steam, isn't there? And it's something I've never played either. So I've never played that, never seen anything about it, and I totally ignored all the reviews so far. What there's been for the second one, so I went in blind like you.
Well, I went in blind with this one, but I did remember after hearing the name, I did remember going in briefly and playing that first one. But that first one's like a wave shooter. It's nothing like this. It's not the same game at all. Really.
Right.
So my expectations weren't that great. And honestly, at this point in VR, you hear from an indie developer doing a zombie game, you think, and nothing against Requisition VR, but I wasn't overly impressed with it. For a few different reasons. You've got Requisition VR, you've got so many different zombie games, Drop Dead, The Cabin, and all these different things that we play. And at the back of my mind, I think I hear indie, I hear zombie, and my expectations just drop completely.
It's sort of oh no, not again, isn't it?
It's that. And that's why I think that I was pretty surprised by this one because it was, in my opinion, really well done. It's got like a little slow build up. So the little backstory of this is that something has happened in this hotel where you've got zombies, and you're a member of staff that is holding up in the kitchen area with a security guard, and you've been stuck there for 10 days, and originally there were more of you in there, but there was an escape plan that went wrong, and your sister was part of this escape plan, and she was presumably, you consider her and everybody else dead. But then you get this message to say that we've got a rescue in place, you need to get to the roof, and you hear on the radio that your sister is still alive in a different part of the hotel. And that sort of initiates everything in progress. So I felt like the opening was really well done. It's like a slow build up. The tutorial is effortlessly implemented into the story because honestly, you just learn little bits here and there. There's not like a one-off tutorial that you're going through, you're just playing through the story. And I always like that. I always like the way that different developers will integrate a tutorial to get you to know the mechanics. And I hate where you've got, right, we're in the tutorial, we've got to sit through this for 10 minutes and then we get into the game, and this doesn't do that. So I always like that aspect. And I just think the environments are pretty well detailed. Another thing that I always think of when I hear indie and zombie game, I think sparse environments, badly animated zombies, badly animated NPCs, poor graphics on the NPCs, and this is sort of the opposite of that. So it went against my expectations, and I think that's part of the reason why it impressed me a lot. And honestly, I want to give it extra points because it's a single player narrative adventure, which I don't think we get enough of this type of game in VR really, and ones that are at least worth your time to investigate. So I liked it. So just a few initial thoughts anyway, but I know you guys got some different thoughts on it anyway.
Well, I've been into it twice now, and the first time was this I felt sort of like this is okay. It's not bad. It's not anything I've seen before, and then I've been into it again, and the second time round, obviously getting further into the game, it's okay. It's not bad, which is probably a glowing review from me. The problem I have with horror games is horror games don't get to me, so I'm not the best sort of person to say if it's any good as a horror game. I'm really not. What I will say is by the time my second sort of go at it, I did think it was atmospheric. It built up some atmosphere, which on my first attempt, because when you start out, you've got the tutorial, and I do like to put the tutorial into the game as part of the story. You're absolutely right there. Even Resident Evil really doesn't do that, and I like it when it's done like that because it just like you say, it feels more natural and it feels less gamified. But the voice acting. It's a bit of a mixed bag. In fact, I know I dropped a message to you guys saying some of these voices done with AI, because while some of them sound sort of like they've been spoken by somebody who's probably not the best actor in the world, some of them, the words sound very stilted, as if an AI is sort of joining words together, if you know what I mean. It's got that very stilted way of speaking sort of thing, rather than sort of words just flowing together. But it just did sort of, the voice acting did sort of lean into sort of Resident Evil, or at least early Resident Evil production values, concerning the voice acting. It just reminded me of that. And again, once you get into the main lobby area, you walk into the lobby area, and it's like a reception area, and you've got the staircases going up the side and everything, and that evoked Resident Evil 2. And it's like they've definitely, these must be Resi fans who have done this, because it feels like that an indie developer, indie dev fans of Resident Evil have made a game. And by the end of my second sort of playthrough with it, it's it was atmospheric, but like I say, horror games don't make me scared, so I can't. I definitely can't judge it from that point of view.
Yeah, just for some context in this as well, I've played around an hour of this so far, and I've heard, I think it's between 2 and 3 hours. Is that what you guys have heard on
2
this?
to 3 to 3 to 4. It depends how you play it.
Depends,
You can get through it quickly. If you look at one of the achievements is to finish the game in under an hour.
Right.
So once you know your path through it, it's probably it's not that big.
Well, one thing I will say is I wouldn't say this is like the scariest horror game or anything like that I've played. I wouldn't really say anything to do with that at all. I think there's plenty more scary games that I've played. See, zombies are not really that scary to me anyway. I don't know about other people. There's other games that I've played, things like Paranormal Activity, which I think are more, and it's like the eeriness and the more supernatural kind of stuff that I think is more tension building. Or, as we've mentioned many times on this, the other side of it, Alien Isolation builds up that tension. Zombies don't really do that, and from what I've played so far, I wouldn't say I am terrified or anything like that playing this game. And the scares are really jump scares at the moment. It's closet monsters kind of stuff that I've seen. So that's my side, but probably Lee anyway. What do you?
Like I say, I got about an hour into it. I think we're all around about the same point, right? This spoiler alert, we're on like level 3, is it, of the hotel, and we've got to try and find this bloke. I can't remember his name, but I just got a little bit annoyed at the beginning. Not annoyed. Well, yeah, I guess I did get annoyed. I'm probably nitpicking here. But some of the actions, what they were telling me to, like, I think his name's Owen, right? He sits down next to this radio after a brief conversation, and then he'll say, I'll listen if I hear anything, I'll let you know. And then I stood there and I'm thinking, okay, what do I do now? And then I walked away a little bit and turned around and he went, if I hear anything, I'll let you know. And I thought, well, what do I do? So I sort of walked around for 5 or 10 minutes picking these letters up. And then all of a sudden something happened. And I thought, well, all that could have been cut out. They could have just gone straight to the message for me. Because all I did was walk around and pick a couple of letters up. But I think they want you to do that to try and get some of the story, like Gary said.
Yes.
Of the people going away and things like that, which I do understand now. I'm saying it.
Yeah.
But just that bit. And then another bit with the gun. It says stand at the end of this table. So I stood at the end of the table, and they were saying, no, stand at the end of this table. So I stood at the end of another table.
I did that.
It's like, I'm in a kitchen. It's like got 20 tables in it. And then eventually, you stood next to him, right? So I just walked around. I'm like, right, I want to quit the game because I'm raging at the minute. And I walked up to him, and then he got his gun out, and I was stood next to him, not at the end of a table or anywhere else.
No.
I was stood right next to him.
What I did, I spotted the frying pans lined up, and I thought,
so
okay,
you clicked on.
I thought that's what he wants me to do. He wants me to stand here.
No, I didn't see that.
All right, I must have been just stood in the right spot because I didn't have any of that problem. I was just stood next to him, and it sort of happened. So he just put his gun on the table, and I picked it up. So
same as later on when I was playing it, and then you go through to like a cloakroom or an area where he says, I'll stand here looking for things. You go back to reception and look for a key card. So I spent 15 minutes behind the reception trying to find this key card, and it was only by chance that I happened to walk down that corridor again when the arm falls down and the bloke runs across the top, and then the key card's in another room in the back, spoiler alert, in a safe. I thought, well, that's nowhere near reception.
Well, to be fair, if you look on the map, I think it is circled that you need to go down there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't check the map bit.
Yeah, this is it. It's like it generally does. Even if you've not uncovered that area on the map, it will put a circle in a blank bit of the map, so you sort of generally know where you want to go to.
Looking at that,
yeah, I did. after doing exactly what you did though, which was keep looking around the area of the reception desk, trying to find what I'd missed. And then I thought, well, there is a corridor what goes down there, but it said behind the desk.
Yeah.
And so then I looked at the map, and then I saw that it would. Yeah, it's just. But no, I spent another 15 minutes trying to find the flipping code, which was blatantly just on the wall. And I was convinced it must be on the wall or written down on the wall, the floor, or the ceiling somewhere, because there was nowhere else to check. And so I ran out the torch at least once. And so I reloaded my game back in. And then I reloaded the game back in, wandered back in, and then instantly spotted it. And it's like, how did I not see that before? But
I was the opposite.
I was the opposite straight away,
I was just wandering down that. I thought I couldn't see anything behind reception, just went for a wander down the corridor anyway. And then on the wall, I saw safe code and then a code. So I thought, where's the safe? Turn around, there's the safe.
Oh, right.
And I did it in the opposite way, yeah. So, yeah, it wasn't a problem. That bit wasn't.
I mean, what I will say is the controls, the interface of drawing your weapon or grabbing things like your little knapsack, bum bag thing on the front, and that's all fantastic. Grabbing the torch off your chest, pressing the buttons. I had absolutely zero issues with that, and I think that's the first game I've ever played where I've had no issues trying to pick my gun up or reloading or things like that.
I don't know whether it's the first game what does it like this or not. I'm not entirely sure, but if whatever you've got in your hand, then you go over to that pouch and press grip, and it brings out the relevant item that you need for what you've got in that hand. So if you've got a gun, it'll bring out ammo. You know, if you've got your torch out, it'll bring out a spare battery. Although, right, massive bugbear in any game that does this. These torches that you can last on a battery for about 2 minutes before needing another one. Come on, this is so out of date. Stop doing it. It's just annoying. It's really annoying because then all I'm doing is focusing on battery management, and it really annoys me. Stop. Just stop. Give me a torch that lasts. It's a small enough area that you can see anyway. The atmosphere's there. Don't make me mess around reloading the battery every few. Oh, yeah.
No, I think they could have extended that. I think they could have made it last a lot longer because it's pretty quick. That battery.
Yeah.
I mean, there seems to be plenty of batteries. And this hotel is stocked up on batteries and ammo in bedside drawers. So I don't know what sort of clientele they had in here, but it seems a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
I did like the graphics as well. Sorry, go on.
No, well, actually, we could talk about that, what you were going to say, because, I think I agree. What I was saying earlier about when I hear indie game zombies, I think, like, sparse open areas where you're going to get waves of zombies coming at you.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. And even games that are a bit more narrative-based. And this is the thing, I would class this as like a budget Resident Evil, as Rog said. But I do think that the graphics are really good. And not just that, I think the overall design of it, you've got a lot, like that first kitchen area is decorated really well. And you go out into different areas. The reception area is completely different. And you go through these little different decorated areas. And also, you've got a lot of clutter and a lot of detail on certain things. The interactivity is not there, though. That's one thing I will say.
Yeah.
You go around these rooms and you can't pick anything up, or even most things. You can pick up the things that you're supposed to, and that's pretty much it. So they've not gone overboard on the interactivity. But from the graphics point of view, to me, like the environments and that kind of stuff is really well done as well. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'd say it's decent. There's a few times I've walked up to something like there was like a remote control on the table, which is like, again, non-interactive, and you look at it and the texture's sort of a bit on the muddy side. But overall, if you're just looking at it from your normal general point of view, it's decent. I've definitely seen a lot worse, and I think it's. Do you know what? I think given the fact that the atmosphere was there for me, I think people who do generally sort of like getting scared inside a horror game will find something to like in this. And I've seen a few people, I think we mentioned this as well on Discord, Lee, that there's been a few people now saying this is their sort of like, is this the best VR sort of like horror game? And while I definitely don't agree with that, I think if you do like horror, then this is worth checking out. It's 15 quid on Quest. £16.75 on PC,
which is a great price to me.
It's not a lot.
I think so as well.
Even if it's not a long game, they've priced it accordingly. So if you like zombie horror type games, I think it's probably a no-brainer.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one I'm definitely going to continue on with. I'm going to play it a bit more to get more into it. But I also liked all the options as well on the main screen. It's really clever how they've done that. It's like in the foyer of the hotel, isn't it, where you're picking all the options. And they've also got a nice, fast, smooth turn, which I always appreciate. I mean, ideally, I'd love a slider, but the fast, smooth turn was perfect. Now,
the smooth turn, can you just get it where it's a constant smooth turn, or is it? The only thing I could get to do was basically snap turning with the movement, where it would do it in increments, but it wasn't an instant flip turn. It would sort of smoothly turn, but it would smoothly turn to whatever increment you set. I could not find a way to get it just enough to be a proper a proper smooth turn.
Oh, I'll have to check the options what I clicked, but no, it seemed okay for me. The only thing what sort of snap turned was I had subtitles on, and for when people were talking, so people could see it on my video, and that was sort of slight delayed, like a snap turn effect. But they've also got in the options a stability mode as well. I think I mentioned it before on Vertigo 2. I love all these developers putting these stability modes in, just for like, even if you've got family at home, you can stream it and they can watch it on TV or whatever. But especially for making VR YouTube videos, it helps a lot with people watching those. And on that, it's fantastic. It's really good. It's super smooth.
One of the things I was going to say is the horror games of this type that it would be up against. I was thinking, like, my instinct is to say, no, this won't be my favourite horror game in VR or anything like that. The thing is, that would go to something like, I mean, Resident Evil, we can put that to one side. That would be pretty much most people's, top horror game of this type, at least, because this is a budget version of that, I would say. Yeah. So we can put that to one side. But what is the competition for this kind of game that wouldn't make it up there? To me, Paranormal Activity, it doesn't get mentioned a lot, and I know some people didn't like it, but I really enjoyed that game. And I always talk about a really old one called A Chair in a Room. These are the two horror games that, for me, from the ground up, built for VR horror games that I really enjoyed. But this one would probably be in that conversation with those, but I can't really think of other ones that I would rank, up in high in that list. But
I don't know what to compare it against, really, because those games you mentioned, I've never played for some reason. Not because like I say, it's not because I don't like horror games. It's just that generally they don't really do much for me. So I've only really played sort of like, Resident Evil. RE7 and RE4, and even then I've only played those sort of within the last year.
I mean, like the Paranormal Activity one, I did a couple of videos on it, but it's terrifying by not being terrifying. And I don't know if you'll...
Yes. I agree.
What I'm on about,
You're wandering through these eerie locations. It's the tension that makes it, really,
I think the biggest scare I had, was a little girl appeared with a ball. And she was out of my line of sight, and when I turned around, she was there, and I squealed. I got like a heart rate monitor on, and she scared me more than any of the demons.
It gets. I tell you, did you play all the way through that one, Lee?
I've only played so far where I had to make a choice to go left or right on the on the. And I know because the devs actually spoke to me as well and said, "Look, if this happened, blah blah before, then it's going to be a nightmare for you." And I thought, that rings a bell. So I didn't play anymore after that.
I played that on PC when it first came out, and I just remember, I can't remember everything about it, but I remember it being one of the best horror experiences, and it was a surprise because you think it's, it's based on an IP and it's a licensed game and stuff. I didn't have a lot of hope for it. I thought it was going to be more of an experience, but it's a proper good game, and the ending is really good. It's got a nice little set piece at the end and stuff. So
I mean, definitely things that make you jump, like bookcases falling over, and I squealed at that and nearly passed out. But I had quite a few. I mean, the couple of jump scares in the game we've just been playing, Propagation, the Paradise Hotel. I mean, I think there's quite a few people putting videos out on Twitter, and you can see the very first jump scare. I think my heart rate, because I got a heart rate monitor on, it went from like 93 to 113.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
So there's a couple, and then there's one further on when you're going up through the floors. I won't give it away, but you guys have probably experienced that one as well. Well, I really jumped at that part.
Jump scares, when I first started playing VR, jump scares were really quite effective, even though the horror side of it didn't really get to me that much. Although saying that, back on the DK1, one of the things what really did scare me back then, when it did have an effect, and I think it was just a part of because it was when I was using VR for the first time, was the original demo beta version of Dreadhalls back on the DK1 even.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I mean, and that is so cartoony, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But what it was with that game, and I tell you something, it's Alien Isolation as well. It's the reason I think I found that so scary. It's the sound design. Screw the graphics. It's the sound that makes it for me. Because with Alien, it's like I can just hear it like a sound of, a clip of one of the Aliens movies or whatever, and that sound design, that instantly, it sends a shiver down my spine every single time. So loading up Alien Isolation, just hearing the ambient sound effects just for a few seconds, and it's like, it really sends a chill through me. But Dreadholes had this really weird sort of deep and ominous sort of sound that ran through it, and that achieved the same effect. And I think that's where a lot of horror sort of games fail more than anything. They concentrate too much on trying to build up the suspense through the visuals, and they don't spend enough time on the sound.
Yeah. But, just I'll wrap up my thoughts. I think it's priced correctly. I think it's the right price for the game. And I'm enjoying it. Like I say, an hour in, and I want to play more. I want to get through it. And for an indie zombie game, I think this is worth people's time to check out, honestly. I really do. Yeah,
I do as well. I mean, it's 15 quid on Quest, and there's already people been posting like the 25% off referral codes. So I don't know how good the Quest port is. I've absolutely no idea. I've not seen any comments on it. So we
should have mentioned actually. Yeah, we this is the PC version that we're talking about. So we don't know the Quest.
Yeah, but it's if you're into horror. If you're into sort of Resident Evil sort of games on a budget, definitely try it out. It's pretty good.
I mean, we're all wanting to play it some more, aren't we? So next time we'll continue on with what we thought. Because I've heard from where we've got to now, a friend of mine, Game on Scorpio, said, because I was like, I'm not sure if it's really my thing. And after that, it just goes crazy. So I was like, okay, I'll have to continue on then.
Yeah, I must admit, I did leave. I know we got a key for this a while back, and it's like I did leave off playing it until the game had properly launched, just so it made it easier because we've got a shared account, but it means we don't have to swap over accounts.
Yeah,
jumping in, and I was but I didn't realise it's got multiple save slots as well, so that wouldn't have really been a problem, if it had backed the save.
I thought the save was really clever on it. I just happened to notice this giant book. Like on a pedestal, and I thought, "What's that?" And it's your save point where you can save the game.
It's like the signing in book for the hotel, isn't it? So that's sort of Resident Evil-ish. Instead of a typewriter, you've got got a book, and it's exactly the same sort of thing. You've got to save your game, But unless anybody has got any other games that they've been playing that they want to mention, I think that's about sums it up. I've not been playing much in VR at all, really, apart from though what we've already mentioned.
I did play a bit more Kill It With Fire, my favourite spider game, and I had to go at the next level. And I've now kind of realised, I've come to the realisation that it's a fitness game because, after killing 35 spiders, I was shattered. I must have lost 200 calories running around trying to batter these spiders. So yeah, it's definitely a fitness game.
Well, I wouldn't have put it into that category before, but again, I still not actually played this. I know you. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, the first one is maybe, I can't remember how many spiders there is. It's maybe 10, 15. On this one, there's just billions of them, and there's one of the spiders is black and it's got red legs. But if you kill that, it spawns about 5 or 6 little white spiders. And I mean, and on this level, because I like the weapons that you pick up as well, like the flamethrower with the aerosol can. But on this level, you pick up a shotgun. Because obviously you want to shotgun these spiders. And that was quite fun. But yeah, I was shattered after playing that level.
This, Lee.
I know, I hate spiders, I know. Yeah, big time. And especially, I mean, I run out of ammo at one point and it was like running near me and I was trying to run out the room in VR. I've got nothing to hit it and I was trying to throw books and smash things about. Yeah, I had really good fun on that. So I'll still keep playing that as well.
We can also quickly talk about that Memories from Beyond the Coral Sea.
Oh yeah, I didn't put this down on the. Oh, it is on the notes, isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, we should probably mention this only because it's free. Might as well talk about it, and anyone can play this. And I saw this on somebody posted it on Reddit, and I might have seen it somewhere else as well. But it's just a little free. I assumed it was just a small free experience, maybe 15, 30 minutes long because it was, you didn't pay any money for it. So, but apparently it's about 3 hours long, which I wasn't aware of until after I got out of it yesterday. And I've only put in a little bit of time so far. But it's about this. You play this guy who's on a ship, and you basically you're on a desert island, you're stranded on a desert island, and you wake up and you have to just work out really what's going on. But it's got very nice graphics, and there's something here for a free experience. I think this is, honestly, I think it's outstanding, but we'll maybe hear some other thoughts on it. But the only thing I will say, for anybody that is really against teleport, it's teleport only, which is a bit disappointing. It's the main thing that I would be critical of for it, because otherwise I think it's really well done. But what did you guys think?
Well, I think they did say that they will be introducing other movement mechanics into it.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
But it seems to be sort of almost like a prelude to a bigger game that they want to make, because, like I say, it's free on Steam. But you can buy the soundtrack, I think, for £5 or £6, and they say that'll go towards them trying to develop it into something more. So maybe they will end up doing a better game. Maybe they'll do a Kickstarter or something. I don't know. But yeah, I put it on because you literally mentioned this. I think it was yesterday, and I'd never heard of it before, and it is relatively sort of a new release on Steam. I sort of think I'm all right at sort of adventure-y type games, and wow, I got nowhere. I got absolutely nowhere on this. You're given a rope in a bag that sort of like hangs over your shoulder, and I like the way you sort of pull the bag out and it sort of pulls out in front of you, and then you sort of stick your head into the bag to see what's you've got in there, and you pull out what item you need. And I'd noticed there were like planks of wood and logs and stuff about, and I tried just moving the rope and wrapping the rope around it to see if anything happened, and nothing happened. And I think I'd just not got things in the right position, because apparently you do actually make a raft, which I never got. I didn't get to see. Yeah.
So. I mean, I stumbled across this because you've got where you wake up, you've got a log, and then you've got a plank, and I just sort of put them together thinking maybe they'll just lock into place, because I'm thinking I'm stranded on a desert island, maybe I've got to build a raft, because there seem to be these raft parts, but all you do, you get this rope and you just sort of touch it, you get them aligned roughly where you think they should be, and then you touch it, then you make an oar, but it doesn't tell you any of this. You just sort of, I'm muddled my way through, and I might have just stumbled upon it really. But the thing is you wander around this first little island, you'll have this narrative, and I don't know if you guys have played the Stanley Parable. Yeah, it's done in a similar kind of way, where this guy is telling the story that you are playing through as if he's already returned home and this kind of stuff. So he's like, the sun beat down on me and I would have given anything for a hat and this kind of stuff.
Here lies my initial problem. I'd give anything for a hat. Aha, I think, where's my hat? How do I fashion a hat? What could I use for a hat? I then proceeded to put everything on my head trying to wear it as a hat, right? Including the little, did you get the little crab pet type thing?
Oh no! I didn't get that. I didn't find that bit.
He's like his sort of. I think he's probably end up his version of Wilson, because he talks about the little crab. You find a little hermit crab type thing, and I even tried putting that on my head. So I was made that absolute utter mistake. I always do this playing adventure games, and it's the first thing I should always remember. Don't get locked into doing what I think you should be doing, and in which case it was I need to find a hat, and then that was my thought process from then on, and until I quit out.
Yeah, what did you think, like?
I mean, I had a very brief go. I tried to get it to work with the Pico, and the only bit that I got stuck straight away playing the game, but the very beginning mechanic, which I think is very unique, but also definitely problematic for me, was the game tells you to lie down and close your eyes. Yeah. And that's what it literally means, lie down. So you have to lie on the floor. So I was lying on the floor in the living room, my daughter saying, "What are you doing?" Because I've got my VR headset on. But I had some problem with the offset of the floor. So I went onto the Quest 2 and altered the offset, and then it worked straight away. And I think they are aware of it. And also, I mean, like, for people not so able-bodied, you can't quit that bit. You can't press a key. You can't press a button to start the game. So I think they are looking into doing that as well. But when I did get into the game, it's very, very beautiful looking. The water and the sea look really good. And I did find the bag. Basically, I walked across, I found the bag, pulled the rope out like Rog did. I walked over to these planks, I dropped it on the floor, and then I went, I'll go for a swim. So
Yeah, that's
straight into the water, and then it said something about swimming. Anyway, I'm stood at the bottom of the sea. I'm thinking, I'm moving my arms about. I thought, well, how do you swim? I don't know how to swim. I don't know what's going on. And I thought, oh, I've had enough, and I quit. that was it.
The thing is, if you can move into the water, you have to move far enough before the swimming will activate. If you're in an area, if you're in an area where you can still effectively stand, then doing a swimming motion will do nothing. The graphics wise, it's a nice looking thing.
Yeah, really.
I didn't like the way that when you sort of stood looking down into the water. I don't know whether they're using like a real time environment cube map to try and replicate sort of the way the scenery underneath the water will sort of reflect and refract. But it just looked like it was making it wobble. And it threw me off a bit visually. It made my eyes go a bit wonky. It just didn't look quite right. It just looked like they'd taken what would be under the water and applied it to the surface of the wave, and it just made it look like it was wobbling rather than you were seeing through the water. I think that needs altering a bit because I couldn't focus properly at times on that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the video. I see what you mean now. Yeah, I do understand that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would encourage you to go back in. I mean, maybe when it gets like smooth locomotion or something like that. But
yeah,
it's got this moment in it where you build this. I've only played 30 minutes. I think I've heard it's 3 hours long. So there's something here of substance anyway. But so I won't spoil anything, but you do build a raft and there's islands in the distance and you make your way over to these new islands. And that's where I'll leave it. I won't say anything beyond that, but there's stuff here that, there is stuff of substance here as well. It's not just wandering around a desert island, picking up stuff and building things. There's more to it, but there's one moment I remember, and I forget about these kinds of things in VR. Sometimes I think when you're in VR all the time, we've been playing VR since 2016, daily, you longer, Rog, but daily been playing, and you sometimes forget the little moments of presence that really hit you. And this game had one for me where you travel along on this raft, and I'm standing up on this raft that I've built. And as you go from one island to another, it goes from day into night, and you see the sunset, and you hear this little narration as you're going over, and you see the sun set over the Pacific Ocean as you're making your way to this other island. And there was just like a moment, I was there. I was standing on this raft in the Pacific Ocean for that little split second. It gets you, and I don't often get those kinds of things in VR now. I don't get those feelings in VR all the time as I did when I first went in, and I got one then. I think that's worth mentioning just on its own.
Those little moments, they all existed for me on the DK1, and even then they were few and far between. There were just split seconds of because I never describe VR as having a sense of presence for me, because it just isn't, because I know what it feels like, because it has happened just a very few times, and it's just so overwhelmingly more powerful than than anything else. It's like I know what presence feels like, and what I get on a day-to-day basis playing VR is nowhere close.
Exactly.
And it always happens when it always happens to me. You would say this is on the DK1, and it always happened when I wasn't even trying to look for it.
And it's only that split second as well, and then it's gone. But there are moments that I've experienced a few times in VR, but it's not all the time. You can be wowed by it. You think, wow, it's all 3D, and I'm in the game. You can think that all the time, but it's not really what
it's not the same. Being immersed is not the same as actual presence. And
you just don't get that feeling, do you, playing flat games? And I know if you're a big flat game fan. I mean, I'm a big flat game fan. I love playing flat games, but like VR, when you're about those. Those moments, those experiences. I think I definitely had one when I was playing Vader Immortal. When you pick the lightsaber up and you switch it on and it starts vibrating, your controller's vibrating, and you're swinging that around. I thought, I've always wanted to hold a lightsaber. Now I am. I'm 8 years old watching Star Wars on TV at Christmas again, because it's on every year. and I got that feeling there. So you just don't get it anywhere else.
You don't. And I say that the very first time, and I've probably talked about this before, for me, it was on Live for Speed on the DK1. And I was just going around the corner, and I was playing with a wheel, and it was that first moment ever where I think everything lined up perfectly. I was looking into the corner, but my arms and the wheel and my body and everything just lined up perfectly with what was in game.
Yeah.
And for just that split second, my arms were those polygon arms.
Yeah.
You know, and it proper hit me. It was a proper shock.
It does, yeah.
It's like, and then it was gone. It was just that instant, and
through all the years that I've been doing VR, I think you're more susceptible to them at the beginning, but they can still hit you later on. And it's, I don't know, I don't know if it's to do with improving technology or something like that to make that more happen more often. I don't know if what we need is like complete brain implants or something to get it to really that point, because that honestly in this little game that I was playing, I had it for that split second and I thought that on it in itself is it's worth me playing this.
But yeah, free on Steam, by Snigglesoft, so go check it out. It won't cost you anything, and if you buy the soundtrack, it might help them develop a more fully featured game.
Yeah.
But anyway, on to the news for the past 2 weeks, and the first one we've got on the list is the Lynx R1 yet again. And Stan LaRock's given an update for the Lynx on a live stream, saying that the Kickstarter units, numbered somewhere in the hundreds, don't know how many hundreds, but somewhere in the hundreds, will be shipped in June. Post Kickstarter pre-orders and business orders should follow anytime from June to October. So, Gary, I mean, you've been over there. You saw one of the early versions of the Lynx, and you're a Kickstarter backer. Do you have hope that you're actually going to get yours sometime soon?
I do. I'm backer 800 odd, so I might not be in June anyway.
Right.
Artful, who is a backer as well. I've seen him mentioned somewhere, I can't remember where, but I think he said it was somewhere between 300 and 500 Kickstarter backers. So yeah, I might not be in June, but hopefully shortly after that I'll get mine. I'm still a believer in the hardware. I think it's difficult because I think it's going to look far less impressive now than when it was originally supposed to come out, which was over a year ago. And there was no shocks. I knew it wouldn't actually deliver in April last year or anything like that. But it has been delayed a long time. But I will say this latest update, this latest video was impressive. And to me, Stan looked far more confident than he's looked in a long time that this is going to be the actual delivery date. So I'm hopeful that, because the software all seems to be in place as well at this point as well. And I've got no doubt. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Saying with the software, he actually mentioned in that video that they've actually got a new version scheduled for the end of the month, which they're calling their very first sort of version 1.0. So it seems that they've got their act together there at least.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no doubt that the software is still going to be pretty bare bones when you get it anyway. But I like the idea of this. This is not a gaming headset for me. There's no way I'm going to play games on this. It's not for that. But I was thinking a couple of days ago, actually, I was thinking, what is my use case for this? If I'm not playing games, I get VR headsets to play games. What am I actually going to do with this? There's a few things, really. The first thing is, where I am now, where I'm recording, I'm in my office, which is in a garage at the end of my garden. I'm not present in my house, and sometimes I'm over here a lot, and I'm typing stuff or doing various things, and just productivity wise on my desktop. And I think if I've got this headset where I can just connect a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse to it, I can sit in my dining room in my house, have my remotely connect to my PC, and just do everything that I need to over there. And I'm not blanked off. I've not got any, barriers. It's all AR, all full color AR, and I can just do the same stuff that I'm doing over here sometimes over in my house. And to me, that's got a lot of value to it anyway. But I think beyond that, the mixed reality function of this makes it just intriguing to try different things, because not forgetting the fact that a lot of people will talk about how good is the pass-through on the Pico, for example. Really, really good. It's got a great pass-through, really clear. Lee, you can vouch for this. And I've seen it. I've seen it myself. It looks really good. Yeah. But it's not the same as having a perfectly rendered, stereo-corrected, proportionally correct pass-through, as if it really was, you were looking through a pair of glasses at a lower resolution, which is what Lynx are really going for. It looks correct. Everything is proportional and it's stereo-corrected. And I think that makes a big difference for mixed reality applications. And it's why the Quest Pro is that they've gone for that. They've stereo-corrected it. They've overlaid this colour thing to it. It doesn't look that great, honestly, on the Quest Pro, but it looks okay and they're moving in the right direction. But I think that the quality pass-through is having it, all of those things. It's not just how clear it looks, it's how it's got 3D depth and it's proportionally correct and it doesn't warp or anything like that in strange ways. So I think that's important for mimicking AR glasses, which is really what this is trying to go for. It's trying to give a AR glasses kind of experience with a pass-through feed. Yeah. And that there's a difference. There is a difference between good pass-through and what this is doing. So I'm still excited for it, and I'm going to be using it a lot when I first get it. But whether it will have long-term use for me or not, I don't know, because let's not forget we've got a Quest 3 on the way as well now. That wouldn't have been the case before, and we've got other headsets that are probably going to be popping up. So I wish Lynx all the best. I think they're a good company. I think they've done this in the right way, and they have actually delayed this because some of the early versions that came from the factory weren't up to the standards that they want. So I think, of course, I don't want a substandard one sent out to me. I'd rather take the delay anyway.
Well, they had a problem with the headband adjustment, didn't they, as well, where people were like tightening the headband up and then you couldn't release it again. Once you tightened it to a certain point, there was no way to bring it back. So that was a bit of a disaster for them as well.
Yeah. It's but I hope people. It's difficult. When I first went over there was this idea of it was trying to do everything. It was trying to be a Quest 2 competitor. And it was trying to do this Steam VR streaming so you can play all your games with Steam VR. The trailers mention this, and I don't think it's going to be the headset for that at all at this point. I really don't. I think people need to know what they're going to be getting, which is a good piece of technology, but maybe not gaming. Well, certainly not gaming focused. That's what I'll say.
Well, we'll definitely have to organise a retro computer museum meetup at some point once you get your headset, because I really do want to try this out.
Yeah, that weekend.
Yeah.
Oh dear. But the only other thing that was quite amusing was Stan seems to want to do a Palmer Lucky and hand deliver the first Kickstarter unit, doesn't he? Today. Hopefully that'll go a bit better for him than it did with Palmer, who turned up, handed it over, and the guy didn't even have a PC there to plug it into. So.
Oh jeez, Did you see that, Lee?
No, I've never seen that.
Oh my god, that was the most embarrassing thing.
It's on YouTube.
But
it's bound to be on YouTube, right? I'll have to check it when we finish it. Oh, no.
He took the Kickstarter back number one. Order number one, wasn't it? It was CV1. Yeah. So he went, it was Alaska. Was it somewhere in Alaska or something?
Jeez.
The guy lived. But he turned up and this guy was just so underwhelmed, and Palmer Lucky's there trying to G things up, and then he opens the case and it's... They'd even done something about the layout or the design inside the box, hadn't they? Because he was confused. Even Palmer was confused. He goes, "Oh, they've moved that, or they've done something." Yeah.
It was something to do with the controller, I think, with the Xbox controller or something. I can't remember, but he seemed surprised when he opened it up.
I'll tell you what, if it had come to, he should have come to me. He should have come to me because I would have made it worth his while.
Yeah.
Wait, why did the bloke order one if he'd not got a PC?
Well, I think it was just where he was at the time. Maybe I don't know. He turned up at. I don't know where the guy were going to use it.
It just didn't seem that excited at all for it.
He didn't, did he? No. Oh, man. Maybe he just didn't appreciate being surprised.
Man, to be honest, I think if Mark Zuckerberg turned up at my door, I think I'd probably just shut it in his face, to be fair. I'll say, "Where's my PC VR game? Slam."
Yeah. Get a loan from him first. But... Right, anyway, next on the news list anyway is, well, I initially said Qualcomm is bringing upscaling to mobile headsets, but they've actually brought upscaling to mobile headsets. So yes, we've now got resolution upscaling via, and here's another acronym for you, SGSR, which is Snapdragon Game Super Resolution. And I'll just read off what they posted anyway. But it says, recently we worked with the Guy Godin, creator of Virtual Desktop, to integrate Snapdragon game super resolution, boosting the quality of PC VR to HMD split rendering. So basically what this is doing is upscaling your game. So you can run things at a slightly lower rate resolution. That'll get wirelessly nipped over to your headset, and then Virtual Desktop can implement this new technique and upscale the res of the transmitted frame. It seems to work from what I've seen. I've not done massive amounts of testing or playing about with it, but I loaded up the lab, the old Steam VR demo, and went into the robot repair experience, because I always remember that when you pull the robot apart, on the right hand side there's some very fine text on some of the components there.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'll boot that up and have a look. And I loaded it up as normal first, had a look again. And then I turned it down by quite a margin. And Steam VR seems very weird to me with how it represents what 100% scaling is on my headset. Because the other day, vertical wise anyway, it was 2,400 pixels, which kind of makes sense at 100%, because 100% scaling is generally the panel resolution multiplied by 140%. Because going back to the DK1, the actual rendered resolution was generally 40% above what the resolution of the panel was, and that was to compensate for the warping, what they had to do, which then is sort of compensated by the actual lenses to correct all that. So I expected it to be above the panel res. But then again, when I was messing about with it earlier on today, Steam VR was telling me 100% was 1800 and something, which was the actual resolution of my Quest. So one day, 100%'s 2400, but today it's 1800. So I have absolutely no idea what's going off there.
Well, yeah, just on that, because I need to look into this a bit more myself, actually, because what it used to be, on the Oculus app, you've got a control over the resolution that you can scale to on there. And the way it used to be, whatever you used to scale that to, that is what Steam VR would then, it would pass it over to Steam VR, and that was what it would use as 100%.
Yeah.
Whatever it was in the Oculus desktop app. But they've changed the way this works now on the Oculus desktop app, and I don't exactly know how they're doing it, because it varies based on the refresh rate that you're running at as well.
Yeah.
So 1.1 or 1.2 won't match if you're doing it on 72 hertz or 90 hertz. They'll give different values. And I don't understand it, because even then, looking into it briefly, going over to Steam VR, it still doesn't seem to match with the 100% anymore. So I don't know what's going on. I need to look into this more, because it used to be so simple. But the way they're doing this has changed. And one of the reasons I wonder if it's because apparently pancake lenses on the Quest Pro don't require barrel distortion correction. So they don't need to render sort of higher. I know, I didn't realise this until recently, and I'm still not, I don't know if it's been confirmed or not, but I've heard multiple people say this, that pancake lenses at least require far less barrel distortion correction than Fresnel lenses. So I'm wondering if they've done this for the purposes of the Quest Pro, because the barrel distortion correction doesn't play a part anymore. I don't know. But anyway, it's very confusing the way Steam VR and the desktop app is calculating resolution.
I just did have another thought, actually. Because yesterday I was using Virtual Desktop, and I was getting it was saying it was 2,400 vertically. But today, when I was using it, I was actually on Airlink. So I'm wondering if it's giving different numbers depending which you're using. That might be something to do. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. It just came to mind. So that might be another thing. But yeah, it's all rather bizarre. But anyway, I turned the resolution down to something like, I think I whacked it down to 40% or something ridiculous. But even then, because it had started out at 2004, and the numbers don't match here, but I suppose 0% wouldn't be literally zero, so I presume it starts at some baseline. But I turned it down to what it said was 40%, which gave me a rendering resolution of 1600p effectively. So, just a bit below the native panel res. And I loaded that robot repair up again, and I couldn't tell the difference. No. That small fine text looked just as clear as it did do. I don't know what the number was resolution-wise, but then took it down to 20%, and I immediately saw it looking, oh wow, yeah, that doesn't look great. So changing the changing the percentage was having an effect. But yeah, it did let me knock it down sort of, by a good degree, and at least from what I tested on objects that were up close, but yet small and fine detail, it actually looked really good. So that there could be some really good benefit there to pull performance back.
Were you making changes in Steam VR then, rather than the desktop app on that?
I was when I was doing that, I was changing it on Steam using the Steam VR setting. VR,
yeah. I went in and I don't know. I need to look at. I only literally spent 10 minutes on it just to test it out. But I was sort of restarting Steam VR. I was restarting Virtual Desktop, and I was trying various things. And I just couldn't get. I was turning the SGSR off and on, and then restarting everything.
Yeah.
And I was struggling to get any kind of difference at all. And there's something wrong. I need to look into it a bit more. There was something I was doing. I know I wasn't doing something correctly, but yeah, I couldn't get any difference, no matter whether it was on or off or low in resolution, or I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, I could tell a difference. I mean, I left everything default, but I loaded up Lone Echo and just put it on just to see if it did, sharpen anything up, because the robot's arms and the hands look really, really cool. And yeah, I could definitely tell it was definitely a lot more sharper, especially in the distance as well. Things seem to be more sharper in the distance, out towards the planet. It seemed, but I'm using the Pico 4, so I mean it looks pretty good anyway on that. But saying that, when we were playing Paradise Hotel, or when I was playing it, I tried it on the Quest 2, and I couldn't get that to even run. And bearing in mind I'm recording as well, so I looked and checked, and it will be on my video. And I was like, this is not running very well at all. I'm probably getting about 5 frames a second. So when I ran the Pico with Virtual Desktop, the exact, I just ran it as I would do the Quest 2, and it was fine. I had no issues whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So perhaps it is still doing something, even though you've got it left to default, maybe. Perhaps it's taking a bit of the load off. I don't know. But yeah I want to try knocking the resolution on the Pico was ridiculously daft anyway. So I'll have to try and knock that down to see if it makes any difference, recording-wise.
I was just thinking on the desk, if you change it on the desktop app, it shouldn't matter anyway, because that surely only controls the AirLink or the wired link resolution, not anything to do with Virtual Desktop, does it? So it's got to be through Steam VR. But yeah, I don't know. I need to look into this more. But
yeah, I say worth mentioning that this is coming to. It seems it's coming to pretty much any headset that supports the XR2. So I don't know. Is it actually available on the Pico then?
Yeah,
at the moment?
It's exactly the same.
It is. All right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Nice. But yeah, just remember that you'll need to update your mobile the mobile app, and obviously the stream. There's a new version of the streaming app as well. So yeah, go check it out. A bit of free performance. Can't be bad.
I could have done with that when I had my 960.
But next up on the list is I thought did we cover have we covered this before? I think we've mentioned it before, haven't we? The Unreal Engine VR mod, the
upcoming.
The upcoming. That's it. Yeah. Well, initially I'd put down that there'd been a video out, but there's been a couple now. There was another one yesterday which I've not got around to watching yet.
A big live stream.
One, yeah. First one was by Waifu Enjoyer, not Brad. And Prey Dogs, and I think it was on. It's to do with Prey Dogs injector mod, but on the Flat to VR YouTube channel as well, and they've basically done some question and answer sessions about the mod and what it'll be able to do. Main sort of standout points to note really are the way it can render things, and there seems to be like 3 main ones what you can use. The first is native stereo rendering, so it renders a proper stereo image per frame, which would sort of sound to be the best and the most ideal solution really, but apparently doing that can break some effects. So if you can't render using that, we also get synchronized sequential as well, which is a form of alternate frame rendering, in that it renders 2 frames sequentially. So it doesn't render them at the same time, it renders them one after the other, but it doesn't advance the game world in between rendering those 2 frames. So I don't think it should. It sounds like the images won't go out of sequence with each other, like they will with normal alternate frame rendering. Apparently doing that can fix some of the graphical issues that don't work with the native stereo effect, but it can introduce other artifacting, especially with things like temporal anti-aliasing, where it'll maybe give a ghost-like effect. So at least it gives you the option to sort of switch between, games-wise, switch between the rendering modes and find out which works better. And then finally, there's also the alternate frame rendering mode, as we've seen in certain other mods, shall we say, which I can't stand, because it sort of works all right until you start turning, at which point it starts doing it. Yeah,
it looks like reprojection.
It looks like it looks like PSVR2.
Yeah,
in some bad cases. But yeah, that's it's still on the way, sounding good. Say there's a couple of videos. There was a long one on the other night. I think it was when I realised it was streaming. It was at the hour. At least an hour and a half long he'd been on there. The guy had been doing a live stream and taking and answering questions. So it might be worth checking out.
I think it's about 2.5 hours long. I've added it to my watch list. But I've noticed as well the options menus that bring up is quite good and quite in depth from where I can see. So you're definitely able to tweak this to your heart's desire by the looks of it. Yeah, he was mentioning there's stuff like you can change world scale in game. You can reposition the camera. So if you're playing a third-person game and you're too far away, or you're not, or you're too close to the character that you're looking at, you can reposition the camera to how you want it. You can disable game effects at an engine level, like depth of field and motion blur, which really shouldn't be on in a VR game anyway.
No.
You can change the gamma correction, the color correction, control bindings and mappings, and you can also save, like, if you've got a set of presets you like for a specific game, you can save those presets out so you can quickly load those back in again. So it seems it's going to be really feature packed.
That was the main thing that stood out to me in this video. I had it on in the background while I was doing other things, but when that part came up, the amount of options that you get in here, if you want, you don't need to go through all of these. But they're there to improve the experience if you want them to. So that stood out to me. But a lot of it from that video, it was pretty much what I expected, because he was going through all the questions that he gets asked about it, like will it have motion controller support and all of these kinds of things. And but yeah, I really looking forward to giving this trying some stuff. Yeah,
I mean, if you've not got the beefiest graphics card, maybe we'll be able to pair this with the, I've forgotten the acronym already, the Snapdragon upscaling.
Yeah.
SGSR.
SGSR, that's it. Oh,
yeah, that'd be quite a good idea, especially something like Hogwarts Legacy, because that's pretty intense. I only run that like on, I think, medium settings when I was playing that, Rog. I don't even know what you ran it at, but I couldn't run RTX or anything like that. Jeez, no.
Well, I'm playing it on PS5 anyway. So.
Oh yeah, you put it on PS5. Yeah, don't have that issue that I had. But yeah, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. Get me on that broom.
Well, also in the news, PSVR finally heading to retail after all this time. I first saw this I got an email from Shop 2 saying that it's going to be available on May the 12th, and then I looked online and all the forums saying it's finally coming to retail, etc. It's it's got to be a good thing. Hopefully we'll see an upturn in sales as well, or at least keep the current sales going, what there already is. But why it's taken Sony this long, to get PSVR2 into shops and on shelves, it's crazy. I don't understand what's taken all this time. I
don't know if you guys are aware of someone on YouTube called Steve Benway. He's like a retro gamer. He's been doing it for God knows how long. But he's got into VR, and he was talking about, he went into game to ask about why they aren't stocking PSVR 2, and apparently he got told, I don't believe this by the way, but he got told that they were offered pre-orders, but they refused them because Sony didn't deliver the pre-orders in time for the original PSVR when it was released. So they had all these angry customers turn up and they didn't have PSVRs for them ready and that kind of stuff. Don't believe that anyway. The reason for me, I think it's got to be margin, because I personally think that the way they've done it by ordering direct from them, they're cutting out the middleman, they're cutting out the retailers. In some countries, not all countries, Simplex don't get angry. Because in Poland, they had them in retail. In Canada, I think they had them in retail as well. But to me, it seems like maybe they were trying to just cut back on the margin, make up the margin so that they didn't have to pay retail a percentage to stock them. That's the only reason I can think.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well,
I don't know.
The other thing is sort of thinking about it that way is hardware sells software. So what is there sort of like on the shelf games-wise, PSVR2 wise? I mean, outside sort of Gran Turismo and Resident Evil, which are flat games anyway, and what people have probably already got. What are you going to go into that store and buy alongside your headset? There's probably not a lot as far as physical copies are concerned. So they're losing out sales wise, money wise there, which is probably where will make a larger markup. So is it even worth them selling a PSVR2? That's the
I don't know. I mean, I would think they'd still want to stock it. The confusing thing is Amazon. Do you know, is Amazon getting these headsets in the US or the UK? Because I've done a search. They're not on yet, but I don't know.
I would have thought so. I'd be surprised if they didn't.
Yeah.
But saying that, I went into a local store. I'm not going to say the name of it. Begins with an S. And I even sent you a picture on Discord, right? Because it's actually got Quest 2s and Pico 4s on the shelves. So I asked the guy behind the counter, so you got VR stuff? Brilliant. Are you going to be stocking any PSVR 2s? He didn't know what I was on about. So he went,
that's
PS
kind
what?
of shocking.
And he was like, hold on. So he went on his headset and he went, blah, blah, to the bloke's name. Will we get any what do you say? PSVR 2? No idea, mate. So
did you headbutt him or something? What did you do?
He just didn't have a clue. And I was with my daughter, I went, he doesn't even know what I'm on about, lot. Yet they've got VR headsets in there. I mean, they're not even advertised. This is the thing. They've got a tiny little shelf with Quest 2s. Yeah. They've got no demo area set up or anything like that. I know they have at the local couriers where I live, but it's not, it's not switched on. Yeah. And then the Picos are just shoved right at the back on the top rack, and no one's going to even ask about them if they don't know about VR. Where can you try one?
Yeah. I mean, it totally shocked me when you sent that photograph. I couldn't believe they actually had Picos on the shelf.
Yeah.
That was the bizarre thing. I couldn't understand them having the Quest there, but it really surprised me the Pico 4 was on there, even though they were on a shelf labelled MetaQuest 2.
Yeah, they were, yeah. I didn't notice that because I was that far back when I took the photo. But I was quite surprised that they got them in, but not knowing about the PSVR 2 was a bit of a shock. But
yeah.
Imagine that, a world where we live and the retail stores in the UK have Pico 4s and they don't have PSVR 2s yet. Unbelievable.
You had no idea whether we were stocking them or not. And I mean, what day did you say, Rog? Is it what day did you say
12th.
that? Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's like next
May
week,
the 12th,
right?
according to Shop 2. Anyway, yeah, it is.
I've been looking on Argos as well to see if they've not updated their website yet, but maybe when it actually gets released they'll update it. Sometimes they do, because I think the Quest 2 was showing up like a couple of weeks before, or when it was announced, basically it was showing up on the Argos website.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to help, because this sort of plays in, it reinforces the opinion that it was a soft launch, doesn't it, as well? Because if they're not in retail stores, this is when most people are going to see them, just on the off chance. And there's people, anecdotally, where I've seen where people mention on other podcasts, where people that are actually sort of semi-interested into VR weren't even aware it was out yet. They'd heard of it, but they didn't even know it had actually come out. Yeah. So it should help.
Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. I mean, even people into gaming. I don't know when we went to last time at the Retro Computer Museum, and when you were there, Lee, with Mac as well. Both of you had your Picos and you were giving demos to people and everything. Yeah, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's a retro museum, but the people there they're into the gaming, and it was Andy that the guy who runs it. He tried the Pico, and he basically went, "Wow, this absolutely." And I won't repeat it on here what he said, but over the PSVR, because it was really surprised, the visual clarity. And we're talking about he thought it was way better than the original PSVR, not the new one.
Yeah.
He was shocked at the clarity of it. So yeah, when you've got people who are really into gaming and that they really don't know what's happening in VR space, it's like, what chance has anybody else got?
What do you guys think though with this now happening? It's all going to retail, so presumably they'll get a big bump in sales and stuff. Do you think it will coincide with some kind of like a video announcement or some kind of big announcement of games or something like that? Because that's what everybody wants. Let's not pretend it's otherwise. What people want now, we've had the launch stuff, and people want something substantial to talk about with PSVR2 other than Quest or PC ports.
It's if they don't have something to announce or something to show along with this, it's I don't know. It's just going to be a bit poor, really, isn't it? I mean, the sort of best thing you'd hope for would be a state of play focused on PSVR2, but there's been nothing announced. We will see, I suppose. But anyway, available in retail, it can only be a good thing. So let's hope those sales keep on going anyway.
Yeah.
But talking of showcases, we have got announced for June the 1st the Metagaming Showcase.
Finally.
Oh, finally.
I know I'm like this.
I know.
Now that's never going to get released.
Do it's my... there's people talking about it on the forums and Discords saying, what do you think will get announced this time? And my initial thought was, yet another big title game that we're never going to see. I'm so jaded with these. But,
you've become disillusioned, haven't you, with this now?
To be fair, I'm exactly the same as Rog. I mean, I've live streamed a couple of these and I get super hyped for it, and I'll have someone presenting it, showing you these games, and it'll either be something for Beat Saber or something for another game that we've already got. And you just think, or
what
games
do you think
like
of
you're
this?
Not really interested in. Do you know what I mean? It's just.
What do you think of the teaser though in that trailer? What is that? Go on.
Everybody seems to be thinking Asgard's Wrath, don't they? The sort of think it's Loki's helmet laying on the ground.
I'm not sure they could get that on a Quest 2.
Yeah, but it's like a desert environment in it as well. So now they have trademarked. Is it Worlds of Wrath?
Yeah.
So there could be some sort of spin-off,
some sort of MMO type thing, a bit like Zenith type thing. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that's another one of the sort of speculative things what's going around. But I'm not entirely convinced of that. I'm thinking more of a single player sort of.
That's what I want. I want something single player of substance. That's what I want, really.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of debate on what that might be referencing. But the other big question, what's on everybody's lips as well, is: do we think we're going to hear any mention of the Quest 3 at all, or are they going to save that for Oculus Connect?
Yeah. Do you know what? So this June the 1st date is interesting because this is a month or 2 months after they usually have this gaming showcase. Do you know what happens 4 days after this? WWDC.
The Apple event, innit?
Now, of course, this is probably nothing to do with that at all. It's gaming focused, the MetaQuest thing, and of course it's nothing. But I do think there's an outside chance, and I'm edging to the side of, I think 90% chance they're gonna save the announcement of the Quest 3 for the Meta Connect, whenever that is. But I do think there's a small chance that they could do it because they want to keep their name. Facebook or Meta, they are focused on being the dominant, what people think about when they think about VR. They want to be that. Yeah. And Apple are going to overshadow that in that month. And I do wonder about if they could try to take a little bit of the shine away by announcing a consumer product that is $500 away from what is probably going to be a $2,000 to $3,000 product, and just say, look, we're doing this for the people. Apple, you do what you want to do, but this is for the people, and we're still the focus of where people are looking for VR. So that's like a very outlandish kind of theory, I know, but it's sort of where I think it's the only chance that it probably could be announced there. Otherwise,
you never know. Even if it might just be like a teaser right at the end,
like somebody bringing a box in and just dropping it near the door, like that woman did that time.
Then not doing anything.
They should do that. I'd clap that.
I mean, Look what happened when Sony announced the launch lineup for PSVR2. Meta was suddenly, look, don't forget about us. I'll let you know. Most of these games are available on our headset as well. So it's.
I mean, I'm thinking that they have got games ready to go and release, because I know we've seen for the last couple of weeks they've just been laying folks off left, right, and centre, especially gaming studios as well. So I would have thought, I mean, this is just my thinking, that you wouldn't be laying people off if they're halfway through making a game. So all these games should be ready to go and finished. And that's why they're putting this gaming showcase out. But I did think a little bit, and it's a bit of bad timing. That's, we've laid all these folks off, and now it's right. We've got a gaming showcase coming up.
Yeah, but I think you're right, Gary. If Meta don't make a big enough splash at this showcase, then all the talk next month is going to be Apple.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. And this date just makes me think: why are they trying to preempt an Apple event, which they know? We've known the Apple event is coming for ages. So this is like 4 days before that Apple event, which they're presumably going to show off their headset.
Where's Valve? They need to do one a couple of days later and just stomp on them both.
Well, do you remember the Valve Index announcement? That happened at Meta Connect, and it was such a surprise. It came out of the blue, out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So that was a massive thing. I remember people live streaming the Facebook, whatever, F8 it was at that time.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the streams were going, what? Valve have announced something and moving over. It took the shine away from them. And obviously it was planned. Valve knew what they were doing when they were doing that. And I think it's entirely possible, because let's not pretend that like the Quest 3 is any competition for the Apple headset, whatever that's going to be. They're not in the same market. I'm not saying that. But Meta still want to be the focus of whatever VR is. And they want to be known to be the first ones. And I think that's the only chance maybe we might get an announcement for the Quest 3.
I mean, it's also a thing of, they announce these games. I mean, if they don't mention anything about GTA San Andreas, is it? Then am I going to believe some other massive announcement that they make for a game in VR? We're bringing this to VR now. And then I'm going to think, well, like GTA, you never even, that's not happening either, but allegedly.
Yeah, it's like, because first there was Assassin's Creed, then there was GTA. It's like, well, what's the next one that's not going to appear?
Yeah. The Splinter Cell that got cancelled as well.
Yeah. But the Assassin's Creed thing, somebody pointed this out. I'd not heard of this before. But, and I mean, by all means, people go out and check this for yourselves, because I don't know if it's right or not. The contract between Ubisoft and Meta for Assassin's Creed is basically now gone, and that Ubisoft are free to do what they want VR-wise with that game.
Oh, right. That's
which was just something I saw the other day, which is like, I've not heard this before. I totally missed this one.
Surely the Meta would have put some funding towards that, though. And I mean, if you put funding towards a game being developed, it wouldn't run out after just a few years, surely.
No, but maybe they had, maybe there was more to come from them or whatever, and this year of efficiency, maybe it's just a casualty of that. Yeah. And they've said, they basically said to Ubisoft, well, let's dissolve this contract and, you go your own way with it. But it does make you wonder what could happen there.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll get... Thing is, I'm trying to be positive here. Maybe we'll get San Andreas will be shown releasing that day on this gaming showcase day, June 1st. Yeah. They'll show us Assassin's Creed. We'll get MMO for Asgard's Wrath and a single-player port from the original game to the Quest, all of this stuff. Who knows?
And a new line of PCVR games that they're bringing out. And
That's it. Come on, don't be silly.
It sounded like the end of the rainbow thing there that you were talking about there, Gary. All at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah.
Let's fingers crossed. I mean, I'll try and stay positive, but for the last ones, you just know, I don't know, it's all scripted and it's all... I hopefully Boss not be on it and they'll have someone... Not that I'm not against Boss, but, well, I am a little bit. Just some of the things that he said to my friends on Twitter, but that's another story. But I'm hoping that... I just really hope some really good announcements and not we're working on this to come in the future or to come in 2025 or I want something out this year. Within the next 2 months it's been released. This has been released next month. We've got these 3 games releasing now.
Yeah, they need to do that because more than ever, like you say, I mean, we've all become a little bit disillusioned with it because we get these announcements and then Splinter Cell gets cancelled. Assassin's Creed presumably might still happen, but might be cancelled. GTA San Andreas is gone as far as we know. We don't know what's going on with that. So they've got to do something where they announce it and say it's coming out next month or in 2 months' time or something like that. I think that's the only way to get people back on board with this kind of stuff.
I'm still convinced that if there's an announcement for GTA, it's going to be a Quest 3 announcement along with it. I just don't think I don't think it's coming to Quest 2 at this point.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get if that's going to happen. The thing is, they can't. What they'd say, and I think somebody else mentioned this on another podcast, so I apologise, I should reference them, but what they'll probably say is if it's a Quest 3 exclusive and they're not going to announce the Quest 3 at this event, then they'll just say come into the Quest platform, won't they? That's the way it will be. And I can see that happening, because if the Quest 3 is really going to be twice as powerful as the original Quest 2, because VR needs power, and if they can get real good quality exclusives on that, I think they will start to take that at some point. And you wonder, like you were saying earlier, Lee, Asgard's Wrath, how can they get that down to a mobile? Maybe they could just about do it on a Quest 3 if they really cut back on stuff. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, do you think there'll be announcements for games, coming, or enhanced versions of games for Quest 3 as well? Perhaps there's a possibility they could do something like that.
I hope so. Yeah, that'd be good as well.
Just games, right? If you're listening, Mark, we want games.
You're a gaming company, don't forget it. Anyway, talking of other games, we've got a few upcoming ones. Hubris is launching for PS VR2 this month, apparently updated to use foveated rendering, and claiming as well that it's going to allow for a sharper resolution than anything previously achieved, with increased texture detail and models now several times clearer. While the frame rate remains stable, they say. They don't say what stable frame rate that is, which is slightly worrying. It's I'm thinking 60 reprojected probably, but they haven't mentioned it. But they've apparently incorporated the haptic feedback on the controllers into everything, modified the weight of the guns to simulate an impactful feel, and adaptive triggers for each weapon as well. So yeah, it's probably going to be the way to play it. But we've talked about Hubris before. I don't think it's not exactly our favourite game, is it?
It's not. Yeah. I think if they just tightened things up a little bit with it and made it some of the bits that felt very indie, because it's a really good looking game, but there was some definitely like parts and crashes. It had bugs and stuff that shouldn't really be there. But maybe the
amount of times I fell through the floor on that game, it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, I still need to play it because I've not played it yet, and I know it's on our shared Steam account, right? So I'll have to load it up and give it a go. And I played the demo, but I had a few issues with the demo, way back.
Yeah,
I don't think it's bad, and I actually enjoyed it as like a little. I don't know how long was it, because I played through it. It's like 4 hours maybe, and they're lining up for a sequel as well. And I didn't think it was like completely terrible. I think there was definitely something there, but it just had a lot of problems as well.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, visually, it was a great looking game. I won't deny that. It really does look good. But gameplay-wise, it didn't do anything for me, I'm afraid. But anyway, yes, new version of that launching later this month. On May the 16th as well, we've got Humanity, which is basically being described by a lot of people as lemmings, and it can sort of see why. This is being published by Enhance, which, if you know their name, you'll probably know from Res Infinite and Tetris Effect. But apparently they didn't come up with the initial concept for this game. It was done by... I don't know how you pronounce this game. But yeah, it's done by a company called... It's THA Limited or THA Limited or THA Limited. I am not entirely sure. And then Enhance got involved around 2018. And so it's been in development for quite some time. And you're basically leading a load of people around a level, guiding them using a dog, is it a Shiba Inu? I can't remember how you pronounce the name. Little Japanesey dog, and basically leading them from the beginning of the level to the end of the level, putting markers down and directing this like constant flow of people along the way. There was a demo out a while back, and I tried it, and it didn't really impress me. There was none of the charm or cuteness of something like going back to Lemmings.
No.
It was just like this sort of like massive sort of like faceless sort of people just wandering along as you directed them. So yeah, that I don't know. I mean, I will look at it for when it comes out again for one reason, and that being if you've got PlayStation Extra or Premium, then this is going to be included with your subscription. So this might be one of the sort of like first sort of PSVR2 sort of throw-in titles if you subscribe to that. So won't cost you any extra to have a look if you subscribe to those already. But it says it's actually coming to PSVR and PSVR2 as well. So it seems like it's getting an original PSVR release, which is slightly surprising at this point. Although it has been in development for so long, I think this was expected back on the OG PSVR anyway. But it's also coming to PC via Steam.
Okay. But not VR on PC.
Oh no, VR, yes.
Yeah, VR.
Okay,
I'm just looking at the trailer now. I mean, it looks. I've just seen them all get lasered.
That's what I'm watching now.
Yeah, it does look kind of. There's quite a lot of people in that.
Yeah.
It looks like it looks like quite a large scale game with the looks of it, and you can also make your own maps as well. From what I've seen.
There's a built-in level editor as well. So yeah, so it's if you're into that sort of thing, some bit of added value there. But I don't know. It just the demo didn't grab me. But I will go back to it and see if there's more to it than what I saw there. So yeah, May the 16th for that. Another news: Gunman Contracts standalone. Now this is the like total redesign and port to a proper game engine of the Gunman Contracts, which was a Half-Life Alyx mod, which I didn't actually play because. My PC and running the mods, I tried the BioShock mod once, and it wasn't exactly a pleasant experience on my machine. So I've never tried any other Half-Life Alyx mods, in all honesty. So, but yeah, the guy behind it goes by ANB Seth. I don't know if he's doing this in Unity or Unreal. I'm not entirely sure which one. But he put out a video for this anyway, showing the first level playable. Looking good, looking very sort of John Wick. So yeah, I've said I've not played the Half-Life Alyx mod, so I'm definitely looking forward to this one. But early access in 2023 with any luck. Did either of you play the Alyx mod?
No, I didn't.
I did, and a funny story. I recorded through it, and my microphone failed. So I thought, as soon as I just put a blank video out showing how bad I am, I created a character and sort of ad-libbed but wrote the script as I was like re-watching the video in post. So I did a total character for it, and while people were saying, right, this is genius, you need to do loads more of this, it is also my most hated and disliked video on YouTube. Yeah, it is. But I assure you, go take a look. It's on my channel. It's my face as John Wick. And it's the Half-Life Gunman Contracts, yeah. So yeah, go take a look. I had a great time making the video, and I had some fun.
What do people not like about it?
I don't know. This is the thing with YouTube. Folks will dislike it, but you don't know why. And I've said this all along. If someone dislikes the video, then perhaps just leave even a sentence. Don't like the voice, or didn't like the gameplay, or didn't like this, or just give you some sort of idea. I think people just dislike it for the sake of it, and especially people. I mean, I have videos come out and they're disliked within seconds. So someone's just spam disliking as soon as it comes out. Yeah. And I think if someone dislikes your video like 4 or 5 times, then just stop them from looking at your channel for 6 months. I'm sure they could. Even I'd like to stop them from looking at my channel for 6 months if we can find out who it is.
Where you get it, if it's literally you've just put a video out and you get a dislike, where they've not even had time to watch the video or anything like that, then you've got somebody. And I've had that for a couple of videos, and then they seem to get bored, and then I've not got at it. But I've heard loads of people mention this. But like bigger YouTubers must get this all the time. That's the thing. They've got like loads of subscribers. They must.
I never really notice it unless I'm going back into the Creator Studio and then I'm going through videos and it shows your likes and dislikes, don't it? But I never really pay much attention to that. But I was actually because there's a second part to that as well, Rog. He did like another follow-up version where you're in like a hotel. I think it's a hotel, something like that. And he did another level where you could be the gunman again. I was going to play that, but then he said he was working on this standalone, so I thought, I'll save it and do my character and then do it like all the way through. It's a big playthrough. And then everybody hated me, so... yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, you have to go and watch it, guys. I mean, you don't have to, but I expect you to.
Yeah. You don't have to, but I demand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had good fun. It was good fun making it, and some things happened. And, you know, I talk about my missus coming in and kids stood there with shopping, and that did happen. And I actually kept that in my voiceover when I was doing it.
So that's it. That's the price for listening to this podcast. You've now got to go and watch Lee's
I'd like
Gunman
it.
video.
Like the video, so
like
I could increase the likes on it.
Right, basically, yeah. The last main sort of talking point, really. And I wanted to put this down. It started on the Rendered Reality Discord, and it was James, one of the regular guys over there. He'd picked up Synth Riders for the PSVR2 version, and when I talked about this before on a previous episode, I was sort of struggling to say whether I'd prefer the sort of like the PSVR2 version or the Quest version, mainly because the PSVR2 version's got reprojection, and for the most part I could get over it, and it wasn't really an issue, and I really like the haptics on the PSVR2 version, as well as obviously the OLED panel. It just it kind of swung it for me. Now, me and Synth Riders, since that's first time I really put any time amount of time into it, I didn't play at a very high skill level, in all honesty, probably even just the very first 2 basic skill levels. And now James was playing it on, I can't remember what it was called, but one of the harder difficulties, because obviously he's played this before on another platform. And he said he couldn't stand it. He said the reprojection was just really bad, because when obviously the skill level goes up, it's everything's just faster, and he says it was just a bad experience. So, which is not good, and it's not something I sort of really took into account, because I just not played it at those higher skill levels. But he put a post on the Synth Riders Discord asking them if there was a possibility of having a native 120 Hz mode rather than the game rendering at 60 and reprojecting. And with Synth Riders on the TV, you can also have a different, an alternate rendered social screen view, which some people have used. I don't know whether they're using Live or something similar, but they're using this other alternate view that the game can render on PSVR2 to do like a mixed reality view of the game, which obviously is brilliant if you're a content creator. And it's great for the developers, because people are making sort of like, content what people are going to, mixed reality content that's going to advertise their game. Not so great for pretty much probably most of the other players out there who probably couldn't care about this other mode. Because if you're sat there playing Synth Riders, 99% of the people playing it are just going to be sat there stood there themselves playing it in the headset. They don't care what's on the TV. So he asked if there could be a 120 Hz mode instead, and just get rid of the social mode. Now, the reply he got was this. He goes, yeah, we're a little stuck that we can only choose one frame rate for all, so we can't soft select between 60 Hz with reprojection, or 60 FPS with reprojection of the social screen, or say 90 FPS native without the social screen. So James then asked if they could make a toggle, even if it meant restarting the game. And the reply was no, because when you build a game for PSVR2, you choose the target of either 60 FPS with reprojection or 90 FPS native or 120 FPS native. It's baked in, and it's not soft selectable even with a restart.
Oh, right.
Now, this is not good.
No.
This needs to be addressed by Sony, because basically what they're saying is there's no way you can have a user select between maybe, like with PlayStation 4 or even PlayStation 5 games, you'll often get now a quality mode or a performance mode. Maybe the quality mode, we're talking on the TV here, will be 30 FPS but full native 4K. Or you can have a lower res mode, what's then sort of scaled up to 4K, but that'll run at 60 FPS.
Yeah.
So because of this limitation with their VR implementation, they seem to be saying that on a PSVR2 game, you can't do that. You can't, you can't have the user select, between maybe a performance or a quality mode or whatever you want to call them. It's not actually possible, because when you compile the game, whatever you've selected, that is baked in and is then not changeable, which is disastrous.
Yeah.
Because if you suddenly get like a PSVR, a PlayStation 5 Pro, you're not going to be able to offer that as a selection unless Sony do something, to address this. It just seems a massive oversight if this is correct.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because what you would imagine, you can understand, like, when James asked that question of with a restart, because that's really how a lot of stuff in Steam VR might work. If you change the refresh rate, sometimes you'll have to restart the game in order to implement it, which makes sense. But the thing is, to me, I think this points to the direction that what Sony have done with the PSVR2 is they've had this reprojection system, this reprojection algorithm, which was in place with the original PSVR, and they don't seem to have updated it at all. It works in exactly the same way as the original, and it seems like they've thought, well, that's a solved problem from PSVR. We don't need to worry about it. Let's just go forward with PSVR2 like this. And I think that the big thing, what they really need to do is, first of all, improve that algorithm and bring it up to date with everything else, asynchronous space warp and motion reprojection on Steam and OpenXR and this kind of stuff. The problem is that they're stuck with this ancient reprojection system, which isn't fit for purpose anyway. And I think that having a toggle, of course, that would make a massive difference to a lot of games if they could do that. But I feel like it's all wrapped up in the same thing. It's all wrapped up in the same thing that they've just left it as it was with the original PSVR, and I think it needs updating.
Yeah, it pretty much says it all. It's I don't know what else to add to that. It just needs sorting out. Hopefully they will. Who knows? Yeah,
I mean, hopefully they will, because I mean, the thing is, if you look at the way asynchronous space warp works on PC, it's so much better than it was literally 2016, 2017, which was more akin to what the original PSVR had. But now it's so much better, and if the PSVR 2 had that kind of reprojection, I don't think people would have as many issues with it anyway.
No.
But yeah, I can go around in circles. I think it's all wrapped up in the same thing. They think it's a solved problem and they don't need to make any additions to it for PSVR 2. But I think the audience is more that they've grown up with this, and even people that don't know about reprojection, I think even they can sometimes, some people who are sensitive to it can sense something isn't right.
Yeah. I mean, I did go onto the Synth Riders Discord after James had mentioned all this, and I did try to be polite. I don't know if I was polite enough or not, but I did say it, and I said that I appreciate this might be a lot of work, but if you can't, if once you compile that exe file, whatever you want to call it, once you've compiled the game, if that's like a fixed exe, would it be possible instead to have basically create a launcher, which when you go to launch Synth Riders up, it launches a launcher. That launcher says, which version of these do you want? And then you launch one of two differently pre-compiled games.
Yeah.
So you could have the exe compiled for like, a native 120Hz mode, and then the exe compiled for a reprojected mode. So it could then launch one of those two exe files. I didn't get a reply. That possibly be a way around it. I don't know. I'm not a PlayStation 2 developer. Maybe they can't do that.
Yeah, maybe they can't, because maybe they'll as it goes through certification for Sony, they might stop it at that point. Who knows?
Maybe it needs to be done in a certain way. Maybe there needs to be one solid, executable that's basically launched, and then that's it. I don't know. But, let's just hope Sony can sort this out, because, if a new console comes out at some point which can offer better performance, and where you really need to be able to select between different modes, then this needs addressing. It really does.
The thing is, just to finish off, I know we probably go on a bit long about this, and I know we talk about reprojection all the time, but it can make a big... Yeah, it does. It does. To some people, it really does. And it's like you just need the testimony of Rog, really. He's got a PSVR 2, he's got a PS5, and the biggest games, Resident Evil 8 and Call of the Mountain, he doesn't want to play those. Yeah. Pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong, Rog, but it's pretty much almost entirely because of reprojection.
It is because of reprojection, and because it looks flipping awful. It really does. And I keep saying I will get round to it one day, but it's going to be a day when it's like, oh, I've got nothing else to play, and I don't know when that's going to be.
Yeah, and no, I'm not like. It's almost like the way I'm describing it. It's as if any reprojection is I'm turning my head away. There's no way I'm going to play it. But I'm not like that. I will put up with reprojection in certain games. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I think
same. I will.
Yeah, and I think I would probably push through certain games, but it's still a distraction. And if they can work a way around this, and I think they honestly can. They've just not.
Well, I mean, like Gran Turismo, I can live with the reprojection in that, but you're not doing any artificial turning, so it's a non-issue. I can still see it, but I can live with it. Bizarrely, one of the games, it took me ages to realise whether it's reprojection or not, and people are still getting this wrong. I'm seeing people say, "Oh, this is a native 120 hertz game," and it isn't. And this might surprise people. It's Res Infinite. Res Infinite is a 60 FPS to 120 reprojected game, and if you look for it, you can see it, but honestly, it is difficult to see, but the signs are there. And I didn't even realise for ages that it was.
No, I never saw nothing when I played it either, and it's like one of my favourite games that I played.
Honestly, it's so. Yeah, I reckon pretty much near on 100% of people would never realise.
Do you think it's because it's so fast paced though? Because it's such a fast visual representation.
The nature of those visuals hides the reprojection. For nearly all the time, but there's a couple of giveaways. So the first one's the actual crosshair, you move it around, and you can see there's a double image, but it kind of doesn't register. It's really weird because everything else looks just totally and utterly smooth. If you look at the visuals in Res, it does look like there's motion blur. It isn't, and you can sort of prove it if you've got a quest in it, actually. But the big giveaway is one of the levels, it flips you around, you're going sideways, and there's textures on a wall. And if you watch those textures as they go by, that's when you can see it. And it's like this one instance. And it's like, oh, yeah, actually, I can see that is reprojection. It's not clear. And what you can do, if you play it on Quest, if you go into side quest, set your quest to 60 hertz, yeah, and look how much clearer Res looks when running at 60 hertz in Quest than it does on PSVR2 or even maybe on whatever headset you're using on Steam. But I think there's another thing as well. If you sort of look into the history of Res Infinite, as far as I can tell, that game runs at 60 hertz 60 FPS on every single platform.
No,
it's locked. It is locked 60 FPS on every single platform. And I'm sure, I think I read that the Area X area, what they added on for Res Infinite over the original Res game, is actually maybe 90 or might actually sync to the headset.
Oh, right. Maybe, I wonder if when they ported it over then, there was something to do with it, the engine for the original levels needed to be 60.
Yeah, maybe there's something in the code, in the physics, who knows what. But you can't, in all honesty, if you play it on, say, a Rift S or something that's not a multiple of 60, so you're not playing at 60 or 120, even on the Quest 2, if you play at 72 hertz, there's a slight, if you watch for it, there's a slight, I don't know if you call it a judder. There's something not quite right with the pacing of the objects as they move. Yeah. And you say you side quest it to 60 hertz and all of a sudden that goes away. And honestly, it's sharper, everything looks clearer. There's none of that sort of what you think might be motion blur on, say, PSVR2 version or whatever. That's gone.
Yeah,
because it's running at 60. Even though it's only running at 60 hertz, it's a clearer image. But saying all this, I'm not dumping on PSVR2 here because PSVR2 is still the best way to play this game.
It could be because I was so proficient at playing that level that you put me in, Rog, and I obliterated everything on that level that I just didn't have time to notice it because I was just that good.
Maybe that was it.
You're working above reprojection.
Yeah, I was passing that 120 frames.
It was just in the zone. But talking of Res Infinite anyway, that's currently, along with some other games as well, on sale. I think this is the first time that there's been a selection of PlayStation VR2 games on sale at once. And first those, what I've got down here anyway, and there's more than we've got listed here. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but there's a few. We've got Res Infinite is 25% off at £18.74. and you know my view on that anyway. Go and buy it; it's great. Great deal though is Thumper is currently 50% off for £8, which is an absolute bargain. It looks great in PSVR2. Again, PSVR2 version, the definitive way to play it, absolutely. If you're a PS Plus subscriber, though, you get 60% off, so it's just over £6. So it's like, there's absolutely no reason not to try Thumper on PSVR2. Go and get it now if you haven't done already. Synth Riders is on sale for 24% off, just over £15. Fantavision 2020X, 50% off, £12.50. And Demio is 25% off in the UK if you've got PlayStation Plus for just under £25. In the US, though, this also seems to be on sale for non-PS Plus subscribers for 20% off, which seems a bit weird. In the UK, you need to be a Plus member anyway. And if you want to play it multiplayer, you need to be a Plus subscriber. So.
Is it all cross-play as well, Rog? For PlayStation, PC?
Yes, far as I'm aware, it is.
I mean, I do love Demio. When I first played it, I just couldn't get into it because I didn't understand what to do. And I suck. But I think it's just, I mean, the levels take that long. It feels like I've done a 10-hour shift.
That's the thing, it is a very long game. That's it. You go into it and you could be in there for like 3-4 hours, couldn't you?
Yeah. I mean, you can save between levels at least.
Yeah,
anyway.
but even levels though can take like an hour and a half just to do one level. Yeah. And it absolutely shatters me. I mean, I can only play like an hour tops anyway with how I am. But I mean, I can probably go for 2 hours if I'm playing something like Walkabout Mini Golf. Just thought I'd drop that in there because we've not mentioned it yet in this episode. But yeah, it's a
that's it. Contract fulfilled.
Yeah. But yes, I'm still waiting for the pass-through on Pico 4. I'm still hopeful that one day, I don't think it's on the list of priorities, to be honest, but, to make that into to pass-through on Pico 4. But I'd love that. Then I could play PD on his Quest in pass-through mode. Well,
I think Resident Evil 8, I think somebody mentioned that's on sale again at £20, but that's been on sale at £20 a few times now. That seems to be coming up fairly regularly. Like any sale that's on the PlayStation Store, it seems to be on there.
One of the greatest snow effects you'll ever see in VR.
But yeah, I'd say there's other games available on there as well if you've got a PSVR2, so go and check those out. And, well, unless anybody else has got anything they want to talk about, I think that's the end.
Well,
the end of our notes.
There's one more thing that was added on at the very last minute, Lee.
Yeah, that's my fault. That's literally before you joined, Rog. Right. About a minute before. It was a new app. Is it on App Lab? It is on App Lab, right, Gary? I think so, yeah. It's called Decommissioned.
Oh, right. Decommissioned.
Yeah, I saw something. I think Eric Hartley posted something about it on Twitter saying if you get a gang of you to play this, it can be quite fun. And I think you can have up to 8 players. But I think there's 5 of you have to do various things. It's something to do with like you're on Mars trying to keep all these panels going to keep everything working. So and it's kind of similar to Among Us, yeah. You've got one saboteur amongst you, yeah.
It's basically Among Us set on Mars.
It looked quite cool with having all the Metro avatars together. But like I said to Gary, I don't know 8 people.
Yeah.
So I'd probably struggle to fill a room. But yeah, that's free.
I just decided to look at the trailer, but I don't know if that suddenly put any volume onto my recording or not.
No,
straight away.
No, it's fine.
Just looking at it now.
What we'll have to do, we'll have to buy some extra Quest headsets and just stick them on the dog and stuff just to get 8 players.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone's played this, let us know in the comments because I am hearing good things about it. You just you need quite a few people to play it.
Yeah.
I think you said when you first shown this, you posted a link in the Discord, Lee, and I didn't. Yeah. I'd heard people mention it, but I didn't know a lot about it. And you said like 10 people, but it will work best with 8. Is that?
I think it's designed for up to 8 players. It says you find yourself on a Mars colony whose systems are in danger of failing. You must work together at 5 different stations to keep the system functioning. The situation is further complicated by the fact there are secret saboteurs among you. So, yeah, got that Among Us type feel to it. Yeah,
so it's Among Us, but also it's a bit like Bridge Crew as well, it looks like, doesn't it? In some
it looks fun. I'd like to give it a go.
Interesting.
I mean, it's got face tracking. I think it's got face tracking, hand tracking, eye tracking. If you've got a Quest Pro, So I mean, I'm kind of glad I hadn't, because I'd be giggling, and you know it was me that was a saboteur straight away, because I'm not exactly the best at Among Us. I just admit it when people say it's me. I'm like, yeah, it is. I can't lie.
Oh, definitely need to get Gary into that one. I remember the first time he played Among Us. That was great.
Oh, God. I can't. Yeah, it's difficult. I can't. Yeah. It didn't help. It didn't help how I was the saboteur every time, and by that point, it was like, well, it's him, and I was pretending. Oh, of course, it's not this time, but I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what happened to me, Gary. I think we had like 4 goes, and 3 of the times I was the saboteur.
I know, and I hated it. I hated it because
I didn't know how to play the game, so I didn't know how to fake it.
Yeah. I know. I was a bit like that as well.
I think Welsh Gamer VR put a little short video clip on his YouTube. It had like 4,000 views of just me saying, it's me, help me. I don't know what to do. Just do. Yeah. And that was quite funny. So yeah, something I'd like to have a go at. So maybe I'll try and jump into it.
Yeah, I imagine once everybody knows about this one, it's games will be getting organised over on the Rendered Reality Discord as well as various other Discords.
I'll have to keep an eye out for
Among Us doesn't seem to be popular anymore. It's breaches all the time.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So yeah, I've not seen a game of Among Us organised for a while now over there. So
see, I asked Gary in the week if he thought about picking Breach up, and he said it's not really his thing. So I thought if Gary gets it, then he can give me his 25% discount thing, and I'll pick it up, and we'll all jump in and play it. But then it harps back to the old Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 nightmares that I have with 3 kills and 78 deaths.
Yeah.
And I just, whoever's I'm on their team, they're going to hate me.
I remember having this discussion, like all my mates saying, "What's your kill death ratio?" And I'm like, "No, who cares about that? It's not about winning and losing, is it?"
Right. Okay. Anything else, or are we done?
No, I think we're done now.
Yeah, I think that's it for this week.
I've got to walk the dog, so we've got to be done.
Oh, we better get wrapped up then. Well, as always, if you could like, subscribe, leave a review if you want to, do all the good things. But more importantly, just thank you so very much for listening again and again and again. It really is appreciated. Cheers, everyone.
See you later.
Take care.
The thing is, Rod, whenever you say we're looking a little bit light on stuff, there is absolutely no way we're not going to be able to fill at least 2 hours.
How long did we go for?
Oh, well over
just over 2 hours, yeah. 2 hours, 3 minutes, something like that, 4 minutes.
Something like that, yeah.
Good grief.